Fake news.
Mr. President.
Fake news.
Fake news.
Mr. President.
Fake
I just want to have one thing to say.
Fake news,
Mr.
no.
President,
Very
I'm trying to
fake
get a word in
news.
edgewise here.
Fake news put out by
Mr.
fake
President,
news.
it's
Fake
not...
news is trying to say good things
Mr. President, it's
about
not
fake
fake news just because you don't like
A
it.
few days ago, fake news called...
Enough! Each and every Tuesday, the Journey into Comics Network brings you the real news with the poor report, with the late-breaking news that really matters.
The following is a Journey into Comics Network production.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Journey into Comics, the podcast about everything nerd, with your hosts, Nate Phillips and Brandon Stone.
We've come a long way from the Prime Minister's exploding cake. Or have we?
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Journey into Comics. It's Journey into Comics episode 190. I am your host, Nate. Today joining me, welcome back for the second week in a row, Veronica. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. Thanks for having me back.
I'm glad that you're here. Let's get something out of the way right now. The unavoidable. Brandon is not here.
Right, yeah.
We don't know if Brandon's coming back. Brandon's taking a leave of absence from podcasting as a whole. Some stuff went down. The network as a whole is changing. We've got some stuff in the future to do. Some changes to make coming forward. So, this week you're going to maybe see some stuff happen out of order. Some stuff happen on a different day.
Yeah, we've got some shakeups at the network.
Just bear with us because it's all kind of happened all of a sudden here.
Right.
So, first of all, I want to say quickly, if he's listening, to Brando, thank you for 4 years of amazing service, being a part of this show and helping build the network to what it is now. We really, it's interesting because it's like Brando has always said that when I created Journey into Comics, I picked the ball up, but I didn't know what to do with it. When I added him to the show, he took the ball and ran with it. Mm-hmm. Now I feel like he has thrown a Hail Mary pass to me, and I'm diving for the end zone right now, hoping to God that I can catch this motherfucker.
Yeah.
So Godspeed to him, and I hope that we see him again in the near future, and maybe things can get back to some form of normalcy, but, we'll see where things go. Anyways, today we got a lot of comic stuff to get into. It's like there's Infinity War stuff to talk about. We've caught up on some TV shows that we can have to talk about.
We finally did The Flash.
There's movies coming out soon that we can talk about. There's one thing we can't talk about because you're not quite caught up on The Walking Dead. So, folks, if you're expecting my review for Walking Dead 179, hold off. You'll probably get that next week, I would assume. I'll probably do it when AP's on or somebody. We're also
somebody that's caught up.
Good.
I'm 10 issues behind at this point.
You're the only person that's 10 issues behind because no one else has even read the comics on the network. So,
so you're writing on my review. All right.
Yeah.
All right, I'll catch up. I promise.
Cool.
I will.
So,
I just got to the point with it where I didn't. Spoilers. I don't know what to say.
Well, the spoilers are almost a year old at this point. So the thing you're going to say about Andrea being bit and dying,
that was the last thing. I didn't. Yeah, that was the last thing I saw was the panel where she was bit, and then I was like, "Peace, I'm out."
Yeah, but that's unfortunate because that's when it picked up to be even better than what you would expect. You don't know the.
I know, but I was going through some pretty emotional stuff personally when I was reading The Walking Dead. It was getting me through a very dark time in my life. And it was something that I could just, get into and just read for a while, since I didn't have time to read actual books because I was a new mom at the time or whatever. So I'm very far behind, and I'm going to catch up.
You're not that bad behind.
But when I got to the Andrea part, I was just like, what the fuck? I don't need this in my life right now. Why am I reading this? I don't want to read it. I'm done.
Her send-off is definitely the most unexpected. Cammy, get off my table. The cat's trying to get in the middle of the podcast, so it's still very much JIC. Anyways, I don't know really where to start. I feel like I kind of want to start with The Flash, though.
Okay.
So how do you feel? It's really weird because the mid-season finale hit. We moved you out of your old house and kind of stopped watching The Flash in the process. It wasn't a meant to be thing. We tried to do it.
I decided not to get cable at the new place because it was, I can just have Hulu and Netflix and all that jazz, cheaper option. So
Absolutely.
The Flash had to go on basic TV or whatever.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you know,
we finally caught up, and we were talking earlier about how there was some interesting parallels between, you know, this current season of The Flash and Infinity War in general, you know.
We'll be talking about that.
So I guess we can talk
later.
about The Flash first.
It's weird because The Flash, you know, things are so changey on that show. Wally West is not there anymore.
He's on Legends, right?
Yeah, and I'm not caught up on
I'm
Legends.
not caught up
so
on
I
that
don't know
either.
what the
I'm
hell's
really
even
far
happening
behind on Legends.
On Legends of Tomorrow, but I hope to catch up. It's on Netflix. The new season's already on Netflix, as is Black Lightning, because they both wrapped up.
I haven't seen that at all. I really wanted to get into Legends. Like, I wanted to like it, but it was just, like, a little too slow for me.
I think you give up on shows too easy sometimes, because I like the hard... I mean, you got through the first season of Legends, right? Mm-hmm. Did you get into the second season hardly at all? Mm-hmm. Because, see, like, the middle to end of season 2 of Legends is probably the best CW writing they've ever had.
Well, you know, I caught up on, like, when we had the crossover, you know, the Arrow, Flash, Legends, Supergirl extravaganzas.
Yeah.
You know, there's a couple at this point. So I kind of watched, like, a little bit of, Legends here and there to, like, fill in the gaps. Yeah. So I've been piecing it together, and I'm just not into it.
Well, you got to watch the full thing to get the full story. Piecing it together, you're going to only get parts. But anyways... Whatever, it doesn't matter. But back to The Flash, the season's really interesting because it's the first season we've had where there's not a speedster versus Barry. Actually, this is the first season where we've not had a major speedster villain at all.
Yet.
Reverse Flash hasn't shown up.
Yet.
Black Flash hasn't shown up.
Right.
I thought you were going to say yet, and then you switched up to right. Damn. Okay. So it's interesting because it's a different thing. It's the Thinker. Mm-hmm. And he's very much ahead. It's weird, though, how that character works. And you find out that he's got this thinking cap, and then his goal is to take all these bus metas that he helped create because
specifically for those powers.
For specific powers.
Because his body's dying, and he needed this super meta body to sustain his...
all these different meta parts. Like,
right.
he can
like
take away powers and give people new powers now, and he can
right.
He's got the Weeper's Tears, so he can make people feel joyous, which is he's using not even for his
he's drugging his poor wife,
which I think we'll talk about in a second. But in the most recent episode, I think it's all clicked in here what actually has been going on, and she's like, oh,
she realizes dude's gotta go.
He literally used her.
Yeah,
like
oh, he really is batshit crazy.
And if she finds that lemonade
Too
recipe,
much power, man.
I mean, what if she finds that lemonade recipe
again?
Like the 50th time, lemonade recipe.
Yeah.
She's like, what? I've already named it that. Anyways, it was crazy because they got Elongated Man on the show, Ralph Digby, and they've been telling.
I just nobody could really jam his character.
He's definitely a hard pill to swallow because he's this very grating guy. He has. Kind of an attitude. He's got
a weird face.
He has a different perspective and a different outlook. He's kind of angry and a little lost in it all. You know, he has had the world slap him, and he only knows the negatives of that. He hasn't seen the positive of anything until he meets Barry. And then Barry starts like, oh, I'm going to help you and train you. And he's one of the bus metas with these crazy powers, which like we more recently learn he can actually shapeshift technically.
Right.
You know, and he becomes Joe West.
Which is how DeVoe is able to have his original physical appearance.
Well, which we haven't got there yet in the spoilers of things. Spoilers.
Well, we've already spoiled a ton of shit already on this episode.
Fair enough.
I think we'll have it in the description or something.
The whole episode's fucking spoiler heavy. If you haven't seen anything, don't listen to anything.
We'll title this episode Spoilers.
It's probably not going to be titled Spoilers, but...
Spoilers.
See what you did there. But back to it. So Ralph, I'm character building here. Ralph Digby here is, this character who is on the wrong side of things. Come on, Cat. We're trying to fucking podcast, man. Go. Trying to podcast and you're getting annoying. Anyways, back to it. So what I'm trying to say about Ralph is he starts to have this character change. And you start to understand the guy, and he's like trying to do the right thing. And he's even afraid of doing the right thing because if he fucks up, he'll feel like everybody lets him down, or he lets everybody down. he does the wrong thing, he fucks up. They aren't let down by him. They still want him on the team, and then he gets fucking just wrecked. Mm-hmm. You know, the Thinker is just wrecking him. And
yeah, I've been thinking while you're talking about this, I feel like the CW is getting really formulaic with the Flash, whereas like season 1 was amazing, season 2 was great. I mean, it's starting to just become so routine. Like, when we watch it, I even, like, poke a little fun at it. Like, oh, it looks like there's going to be another hallway heart-to-heart conversation. You know, like, everything is on this show is starting to feel like a TV show. And you know why I'm thinking that right now is because we watched motherfucking Gotham right before we caught up on The Flash. And nothing can top Gotham for me right now. Like, to me, that is the pinnacle of what a comic book television show should be.
Gotham plays in the reality, though.
Right.
And Gotham, hold on, in the reality of that, doesn't have stuff like time travel, right? The Flash gets to play with its own dynamic. So you immediately are trying to compare the reality. You're immediately trying to compare the reality to the fictitious, right? And in the fictitious, hold on, let me explain what I'm trying to say here. In that fictitious, you have some belief suspended because dude runs really fucking fast. That doesn't happen, you know?
Okay, Gotham.
It's so real.
Okay, Ra's al Ghul.
Okay, he's not real. Okay,
the Lazarus Pit.
You don't know if the Lazarus Pit exists on Earth. We don't know that. I mean,
Nana Parbat, come on.
But back to it, it's grounded in reality. It has more of a real grit to it. Mm-hmm. It doesn't play a lot of lighthearted tones.
Right. See, for me, I'm so into Gotham right now that when I go back and watch The Flash, it's so, like, the cheese level is just a little thick. Like, it's spread a little thick on The Flash for me. And it's because it's on a different network. It's because it's marketed towards a different demographic.
Absolutely.
And that's fine. I'm not saying anything shitty about The Flash because I love watching it.
Yeah.
It makes me feel good. It's a feel-good family kind of comic book show. Whatever.
Yeah.
That's
exactly.
fine. It's just sometimes I feel a little insulted to the point where I'm starting to dislike characters like Iris and like just the fact that all of these episodes are like basically you know what's going to happen, like not necessarily plot wise, but you know, outline of the show wise, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. You know there's going to be a monster of the week or something that you have to stop. Something's going to get in the way of Flash being able to stop it. Mm-hmm. They're going to have to find a way to overcome it, but that's also going to kind of play into the overarching story of how to defeat the big bad.
Right.
But that's okay because the Flash does it well.
Yeah, they do.
Arrow lost me. Like, I haven't watched Arrow in a hot minute.
I know, me
It was really
either.
good.
I was
6.
into it. And then I just trailed away.
I don't know, but to jump to the other side of the thing, like, Flash has been really good, and now Ralph has been sacrificed to DeVoe. DeVoe has taken his classic Clifford DeVoe form, where he can walk now. Mm-hmm. And
he's still drugging his wife.
No, he put it back in the most recent episode. He pulled it out too, and he was like, oh, "I noticed you're actually happy." And then he stuffed it back in his coat, right?
Till she turned around crying, and he like did the little double look, and he's like,
Yeah.
I better think about that.
Better do that. Better switch it up. Maybe she's not really happy. Yeah. But no, I think it's really.
The Flash has been good.
It's been good. It's been good. I'm not sure where it's going to resolve though. Mm-hmm. I mean.
Well, it inevitably will.
Yes, you would hope
Very
so.
soon.
But it's just like with 4 episodes left in the season, I feel like they still have a lot of ground to cover. And I feel like every time
this new like plot line with Harry and what happened to him with his thinking cap and
losing
Black
his brains.
Matter. Yeah, I mean they're setting up.
Killer Frost is no more.
Yeah, but she's still there technically. And
fucking Jay Garrick retired. What? Yeah, that was a bummer. I love that they had Earth 2 Jay Garrick show up, you know, and like they had that story, and it's the doppelganger of Barry's dad and how the Speed Force works in weird ways. I'm interested to wonder who that mysterious girl that keeps showing up throughout the Flash this season has been. She was like at the wedding.
Oh yeah, and then at the coffee house,
at the coffee shop.
Yeah, she's somebody from the future, right?
She's definitely got to be maybe one of the kids of the Allens, and that's going to set up something for season 5. See, that's something that could change the status quo. An entire season set in the distant future. Mm-hmm. Like, not in current times. Like, oh, shit went down, Flash in the future, and we need you. Mm-hmm. Bart Allen is dead. Who's Bart Allen? He's your great-grandson. Oh, shit, we got to save him. You know, like
a Back to the Future thing.
Could be, yeah. Actually, that would be great.
Maybe Marty McFly.
And I already just heard Cisco be like, you know, great Scott, and then
oh God,
yeah, you know how it's gonna roll. It's gonna be great.
I do know how it's gonna roll because it's the CW.
But we're gonna shift gears here, sticking with DC. I want to know. We talked about it a little bit, but let's get into it for real. Gotham.
Oh, God.
Thoughts, theories. Come on, bring them to me. I want to hear you open up about Gotham.
Is it finally time to talk about Gotham?
Yes, for real. On the podcast where you can, and it's not a tangent that's going to derail foodies.
That's true.
So please.
Check out foodies watching movies.
Every other Wednesday.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, let's get into Gotham. It's my favorite. I am obsessed with it. And I'm so glad that I'm finally all caught up because I had never seen it. I started watching it over Christmas break.
When the Flash went off.
When the Flash went off, yeah, I needed a superhero fix, I guess. So I binge watched that pretty fast, and I think it's incredible. The writing is so good. It's really smart. It's, I don't know. I love everything about it. I have no complaints, except some of the people on the show kind of bug, but that's just me nitpicking.
The casting.
Yeah. God, I love Jim Gordon. He can do no wrong.
Okay.
Even though he does wrong all the time.
So let's fast forward a little bit because I've briefly discussed multiple seasons of Gotham throughout on the show. Mm-hmm. But let's talk about this most recent season.
Oh man, I said it when we were watching it the other day. I was like, this season is the best season of Gotham so far, and I say that every season.
Yeah, because they just keep getting better and better.
Keeps getting better and better.
It's crazy too the amount of villains that they actually have packed into Gotham successfully without it feeling crowded.
Yeah, I agree, and I love how they've evolved it from season 1 to where we're at now. Is so interesting.
Like Penguin and Riddler
really
have
see,
a love-hate.
Like you're getting the history and the history before Batman. I love it.
But Bruce is definitely on his way to becoming Batman, and it's like you think about it.
Baby Batman.
Ed Nigma is building towards being full blown like the Riddler to the most extreme. He's getting there. Like he's not quite like lost it off his rocker yet.
Right.
He's still mostly sane, but man, is he on the cusp, you know? And there's some moments where he's looking in the mirror and he sees his other self, and there's like the duality of who he is. Is he Ed Nigma? Is he Riddler? Looking at a guy like the Penguin, who's had an amazing character arc from season 1, carrying Fish Mooney's umbrella, to where he's at now. Robbing supermarkets with Butch, who's not Butch anymore.
Right. Grundy.
You know Grundy?
I know Grundy.
Yeah.
Man, Butch, he's like one of my favorite characters.
Ed, friend of Grundy? You know, like.
I feel like I say that about almost every character. Yeah, that's my favorite character.
Because they're all great for their own specific reasons. Like, even characters I think you're meant to hate, you end up liking for some reason.
They just work in this world.
They definitely do.
I just really can't stand Lee.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
She's your Iris of this universe.
Yeah, exactly.
She's your Katie Cassidy of this universe.
Yes.
What does that say about you as a person?
I don't know.
That you have like that one archetype in each world consistently. Is that like that like for other shows like Doctor Who or something?
No.
Okay, we'll see. Then maybe it's just the superhero genre having a specific way they bill certain people. Who knows?
I don't know. Maybe the CW just has poor casting.
But I think you're missing something when we're talking about this 4th season. I'm like really shocked you haven't even dove into it at all.
What?
Jerome.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about that yet.
Duh.
Yeah, like we were saying earlier before we went off on some other tangent about Gotham, this is the best season of Gotham yet.
But why?
Because the Joker is are we talking about it?
Yes.
Okay,
Bring
it's
it
so
on.
good. I love the actor who plays Jerome.
Cameron
Monaghan or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's on that show Shameless, which
Yeah.
I also watched, but I stopped watching a few seasons ago. I used to like it.
He's actually playing 2 characters this season in Gotham, and it's really interesting how they've done it.
Yeah.
Because
really
like,
interesting
you
writing.
definitely thought one thing Like, I'm like, oh, he's definitely going to be, Jerome is definitely the Joker. Like, there's no questions about it. They'd actually taken from the New 52 Joker where his face is peeled off and then sewn back on. So it's got this very specific, like, malleable, weird, fucking grotesque look. And, so then, like, you think that that's the status quo for the show. And then it shifts gears and Jerome dies. What?
Which he anticipated.
What?
And even set up some posthumous booby traps.
Weird. But very Joker.
Very Joker. Very, very Joker.
But all in, what? A way to trick his brother, Jeremiah.
Twin brother,
Jeremiah, who in turn becomes the motherfucking, like, the Joker. But he isn't calling himself the Joker yet because this is Gotham. And they're slow building and slow grinding it so brilliantly.
After every episode of Gotham, we all just say, "Oh, Gotham!"
I know this is probably a spoiler for next week's episode of Gotham, but there was a set pic released of Jeremiah as Joker in, like, he looks like Nicholson Batman, kind of.
Ooh,
like, because he's got the top hat
Batman.
and the
89 Joker.
89 Joker, yeah.
Sweet.
So I don't know if
That's
we've
great.
already seen that scene or if that was a misdirect picture that was released, or they do shit like that, so you can never definitely
It could just be
know.
like art.
No, it was a legit picture, set photo. It was just like he was standing. They had like a bunch of dudes behind him, and he was like standing and had the hat and the long purple coat. It was killer. I was like, wow,
Well, they were already
They're
making
going
references to that in last week's episode with the TV, and the guy. Yeah, ugh, Gotham is so good. I recommend everybody watch it.
Insanity Gas.
It's on Hulu, right, or Netflix?
Yeah, it's on. Okay.
It's on both.
Because the previous seasons are on Netflix.
Current season,
But
is
the
on
current
Hulu.
season, but only so many episodes
Right.
are on Hulu.
Right.
And I don't know how you watch the other ones until they go to Netflix. But the nice thing is that DC and whatnot have a quick turnaround also. How have we not even went into that? I feel like I need to pull my fucking phone out. We have like a whole bunch of DC stuff to talk about because do you remember, I told you about this, right? Their Train of Our Existence.
The DC app.
The DC app, DC Universe is coming out, right?
Yeah, you told me about that.
They announced 4 shows for it to start.
And the DC app is just going to be like a standalone streaming service.
It's like Netflix, but it's just
just for DC shows.
It'll have like all your previous seasons of Flash, all your previous seasons of Arrow.
So are they going to
Gotham.
be pulling that from like licensing rights for Netflix and Hulu and stuff?
I don't know how that's going to work actually.
Because I feel like they're going to lose a fuck ton of money.
I don't know what the contracts are for
Yeah.
that, or how they can do it, or what they're going to be allowed to release, or how they'll release it, or
I don't
whatnot.
know anything about that. I'm going to have to look into it.
I'm gonna look up, but the DC app, what is it? DC Comics. Oh my God, the Train of Our Existence is very loud tonight. It's kind of late, and there's not a lot of sound happening, so it's just like I'm here
Yes,
on the
it's a train.
DC Comics streaming service. So V, how do you like being the fill-in co-host for 2 weeks in a row so far of Journey into Comics? Are you still getting used to picking the ball up and just talking and riffing?
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like whenever we podcast, though, it's always pretty late.
Well,
We need to have some better planning. But we had a lot of stuff going on. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's been fun talking about different things that I don't typically talk about on podcasts. Usually it's exclusively food and movies. Or occasionally brews with babes.
oh yeah, we'll see. We may be
That was
seeing that
fun.
one come back soon.
Possibly, yeah. We've got some interesting stuff coming up on the network to look
Okay,
forward to.
so from comic book, they are okay. So here I'll read the exact press release. Okay.
Okay.
DC Universe is a first of its kind, immersive digital experience designed just for DC fans, the website reads. One of the many incredible things your membership will include is unlimited access to the following exclusive original series. Titans will be executive produced by Greg Berlanti. He did Flash, Arrow, and stuff. Jeff Johns and Warner Brothers TV is expected to debut sometime this year. The series cast includes Brenton Thwaites as Dick Grayson / Robin, Anna Diop as Starfire, Tegan Croft as Raven, Ryan Potter as Beast Boy, and Alan Rickson and Minka Kelly as Hawk and Dove. Young Justice Outsiders will be a third season of the beloved Young Justice animated series. So Young Justice, I think, got canceled from CW, or not CW, it was Cartoon Network or something.
Okay.
It will now be on the streaming service. They'll do season 3 exclusively on their streaming service. They're also probably going to be releasing a Harley Quinn animated series. Also a Metropolis live action drama series, so like a Clark Kent type,
Superman
Gotham type that's not Krypton, which is apparently kicking lots of ass. And then also they announced that they're doing a Swamp Thing live action series from James Wan.
That's cool.
So yeah, it looks like it's gonna be. I mean, look at the logo for it. It's
Let me see.
it's
Ooh, Swamp Thing. Yeah, okay.
it immediately
That
hooks
logo
you.
looks exactly like a logo from an ABC show called The River that came out in like the mid 2000s. For
Really?
like one season, and it was kind of like a haunted, like a anaconda movie. You know?
Really?
Yeah.
The River.
It was weird. I
I'll have
liked
to- I'll
it.
have to look up.
But yeah, the Swamp Thing logo looks identical to that. Just saying.
Damn. Well, I'm excited for the possibility of that app. I mean,
Yeah, how much is that going to be though?
I'm guessing, if I were to guess, it's going to be between $5 and $10. That's a typical streaming service price.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. I'm paying like $14 for Netflix now.
Well, Netflix is probably going to get. Well, okay. Here's the thing. I feel like in a couple of years we won't be using Netflix, or Netflix will have a cheaper package option because they're trying to do so much original content.
I feel like they're going to start getting rid of movies just in doing their own original content.
Exactly.
That's what they used. The whole thing was to
And
get
with-
money for their own studio, essentially.
Look at it. Disney going to have their own streaming service. That's Star Wars, all of Marvel.
Right.
It will now
Netflix will
include
be a thing
Harry
of the
Potter.
past.
It will include Avatar because, Fox has been bought out by Disney. Then you've got the DC streaming service, so that eliminates your DC movies off of Netflix. I mean, I don't know, man. Netflix might be on just a different path all of a sudden with all these other
Right.
people like, well, why can't we just have our own streaming service and
They're
do it
just
our
like
way?
getting people hooked on like the good original stuff, and now all they're doing is original stuff and like getting rid of movies that was their back catalog.
Well, and they're gambling on all this original content, and
Right.
some of it's really great, but some of it gets lost in shuffle. Like I've never watched Altered Carbon or whatever. I don't.
There's
have
a
any
ton of
interest in that
Netflix
shit.
shows that I haven't even like heard of yet because there's so many. I couldn't
It's
keep
overwhelming.
up. you know?
Absolutely. And they like now do their own documentaries and
Mm-hmm.
and TV dramas and movie series and stand-up
like Hulu's
specials,
doing.
and it's just like, but Hulu
And
doesn't.
Amazon.
Well, and then Amazon's picking up the pace a little bit and bringing some original content, but right now neither of them are on the same pace as Netflix.
Right.
Netflix is kind of in its own realm. They've created some real amazing knock it out of the ballpark content with your
Like Stranger Things.
House of Cards,
The
Orange is
first
the
few
New
season of Orange is the New Black.
Orange is the New Black, stuff like that. They have done good. But I don't know, with all these other things pulling out and getting away from it, where things are going to go
Right.
from here. But I think we should move on to the finale of today's episode. We're going to give people one last time. We are, hold on, let me see. Fill some space with some stuff. Do you want to tell people where they can find the network?
That's your job. You're the one that does all of that spiel at the end, right?
Okay, fine. I'll do it at the end. Okay.
No, we should definitely start talking about Infinity War because we've been talking about it a lot. It's been, all we've been talking about for quite a while.
It's the fastest movie to ever cross $1 billion. It's only its second
highest box
weekend.
office ever, right?
It's on the way. It's 15th all time highest
opening.
grossing. Opening weekend, yes, absolutely. Opening 3-day biggest, Thursday preview night, Monday. I mean, second weekend biggest. It's slaying across the board. Hasn't opened in China yet. It's
really?
It's at like $600 million right now, or $700 million, maybe more. Let me see. Oh no, it crossed $1 billion. Duh. But in U.S. it's at like 450, and international it's like 700,000 or 700 million.
Do you think that the next movie, or not the next movie, but the next Infinity War movie is going to top it?
It's going to have to, because everybody's going to want to know the conclusion, and everyone's going to want to know now. Like, I want to know it yesterday what happens in this movie, and we're
Right.
not there yet. So, Infinity War, as of right now, worldwide total $1,164,106,540 in 2 weekends.
That's insane.
That's only as of 2018 behind one movie, which has been out since February and is still in theaters, Black Panther, which is at $1,338,430,475. So it's only $200 million away from catching Black Panther, and it's only in its second week.
So these Marvel movies are definitely helping the struggling movie theater business stay afloat.
True, and also one thing to interestingly note, this movie is the 6th Marvel movie to cross $1 billion. All 3 Avengers movies, Captain
That's so
America,
much
Civil
money.
War, this movie, and Black Panther are the 6 that have crossed a B.
Crazy.
Well,
all I gotta say is that this next one that they do better be fucking amazing.
it's going to have to be, like I said, because you're wrapping up all these bows. You have to. Mm-hmm. And there's so many things at play, and there's so much at stake, and there's...
I mean, with how Infinity War ended, like, you actually had some pretty interesting thoughts on where it could go from there. Like, what they could do that would be really cool.
There's so many different places they could go.
Right. Like, what do you want to see happen, though? What do you want the next Avengers movie to be?
Okay, so first things first, I think that Ant-Man needs to utilize the quantum realm to find his way into the Soul Stone.
Ooh.
Okay.
That's out of left field.
Because the quantum realm can take you anywhere. We've learned that in Ant-Man in the first movie when you...
I think I need to rewatch Ant-Man. I think I've only seen it once.
What?
Yeah, I've only seen Ant-Man once in theaters, I think.
We'll put it on. Okay, so in Ant-Man, when you shrink below the size of an atom, you're in the quantum realm, and you become infinitely smaller in a much larger universe.
Yeah,
like everything.
that makes sense.
Okay, right. But that also, much like Doctor Strange, opens up the idea of multidimensional travel through quantum theory.
Really?
Right?
Okay.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning,
I'm with you.
Meaning that if he, Ant-Man, and Hank Pym, who is a scientist who's very intelligent, mind you, can find a way to utilize the quantum realm, which the whole Ant-Man and the Wasp movie is about what? They figure out how to do what? Travel in the quantum realm what? So, what do I see happening? They're going to utilize their ability to travel in the quantum realm. They will find a way to pinpoint one person. I'm not sure who that will be. Somebody will be maybe Falcon, because Falcon had an interaction with Ant-Man. They know each other, right? So, think about first Ant-Man movie. Ant-Man fights Falcon. He goes to steal some...
How is he meeting Falcon?
Falcon got blinked out of existence into the Soul Stone, so they can utilize...
Into the Soul Stone.
Exactly. Anybody who was blinked out of existence, my theory is, are going to wind up in the Soul Stone. Meaning, Quill is going to reunite with Gamora. Meaning, Drax, Mantis, most of the Guardians are there, but they're going to be like, where the fuck is Rocket? So they're going to think Rocket's dead. But Rocket thinks
Are they
they're
living
dead.
a separate reality?
Correct. They're trapped in the Soul Stone, so the Soul Stone is finite. It's a moment on top of a moment, never ending.
Oh, I don't... Whoa.
You're trapped permanently in infinity. It's a dark, worse than death existence, right?
Okay.
So they're going to utilize the quantum realm to pull people out. That's my theory. And I think, though, in pulling some people out, they're going to also have to figure out they're going to have to leave some people behind. And that's going to be where we have a we don't trade lives moment vision. We do trade lives, because someone's going to have to get left in the Soul Stone for everyone else to walk free.
Let me guess, Steve Rogers.
Tony. I really
Why
think,
would it be Tony?
because Tony has the weight of all of this on him. He's had Thanos in his head for 6 years. The monster in his closet has been Thanos.
But Tony's way more useful alive than he is dead.
But Tony's sacrifice means so much more. Steve is sacrificing himself in what? Bucky's gonna cry and fucking one other person. Like, it's not that. Tony has affected so many fucking people. He's affected Steve Rogers and Bruce Banner and Peter Parker, and everybody who's an Avenger has been affected by Tony Stark. So his sacrifice is the ultimate in this for me.
But what if the soul that could get out, like, what if Gamora was able to get out? Would the fact that she is alive negate him from having that stone? Would it break the stone, or what?
that's where the trap lies, because from what I understand, at least from my comic book knowledge, that would shatter the stone, correct? However, she herself cannot get out. Some other force would have to help her out.
Right, but weren't you saying that the Ant-Man would be getting people out of there?
Well, that's possible, but somebody has to get left behind, I think.
Why?
Because you have to trick the stone. Because Thanos will still have the stone. You can't alert Thanos that the stone has been broken.
Yeah, but if everybody...
Because then he'll use the time stone to just go, no, it's not, undone.
Well, then maybe none of this is actually what's going to happen, and everybody's still actually dead and gone, and the next several movies are going to be really weird.
Yeah, but you don't have a Black Panther, you don't have a Spider-Man, you don't have any Guardians, and those are the 3 next movies that have been announced.
Right, but at that point, during, when these movies are planning on being released, won't some other, character rights have been acquired by different studios?
You mean to tell me that they're going to bamboozle everybody and not give us more Tom Holland as Spider-Man in favor of bringing in the Fantastic Four or X-Men?
No, I'm saying House of M.
Oh, but okay. So, yes, that is what you're saying. You're saying that if there's no more Spider-Man, that we would bring on the X-Men, which is awesome, because then, if you would do this, we were talking about this off-air earlier, the idea of doing House of M is Scarlet Witch, who just killed Vision, for that to be undone.
Right.
For her to watch him die in front of her, just like Thanos did in the comics, except for he ripped out Vision's heart, because the Mind Stone isn't part of Vision's comic history. That's shifted for the universe, right?
Right.
So she's so broken by watching Vision die, she gets blinked out of existence. At least she thinks. When she comes back, but Vision is still very much dead, it's going to break her. It's going to unlock rage and power in her that we've not yet seen. You already saw her almost hold Thanos off with 5 of the 6 stones by herself. Okay? She could easily just go, okay, reality's what I want to make it. Whoosh. She could be the reality stone, technically speaking. Her magic works that way. So therefore, what happens?
Why haven't they explored that yet?
Because maybe they're taking their time and waiting. But they do this, whoosh. The reality is that there are no mutants, there are no Avengers. Scarlet Witch is alive with children on a regular planet with Vision, who is very much a human. Life seems normal. But there's a couple people who realize that this is not normal. Something is fucking off with the world.
It'd be a weird way to go.
It would be, but it'd be super cool because it unlocks the X-Men. Or alternately, another way you could do it is using Secret Wars, the more recent one, where they took Battle Worlds from all the multiverses, and a multiverse could be, boom, the X-Men from one multiverse or whatever. Because the issue that everybody's having, the issue everybody has right now is, well, where are the X-Men if they've already existed in this universe? Why haven't they been helping?
Right.
So there has to be a reason. And maybe right now Wanda has made it to where we don't know there are X-Men. Maybe she's keeping us from seeing the X-Men. Maybe House of M is happening right now, and we don't even know it.
Who knows? Who knows?
That's
we'll
a possibility.
Find out. We'll find out soon.
Okay, so I want to go down a very specific path with you. I discussed that I wanted to do this, and I want to go through a couple characters from Infinity War. And talk about their universe, their Marvel Cinematic Universe story arc.
Their evolution.
And some of the things that are interesting to talk about what happens to them in Infinity War and how it's almost a death or a changing of the guard for their character, even if they aren't dead.
Okay, so who do you want to talk about first?
I think we needed to just get it out of the way and talk about Quill.
I knew you were going to say that.
Well, Quill and a little bit of Rocket, because they're kind of in tandem, one and the same. They kind of complement each other with the same kind of thing. Quill is very much not a loved kid in Guardians. He feels very alone. His mother dies. He gets stolen by Yondu. He lives a life with Ravagers, Yondu making him go and steal some shit because he's a little dude who can fit into tiny little spaces. You know, he grows up and gets a little bit wiser and starts to go on his own journey. He goes and finds the orb, and on I don't remember what that planet was in the first Guardians. Morag. It was Morag in Guardians 1. And he gets the orb, and then, he meets Gamora. And he's still a jerk. He's still the Quill that is very hard-nosed because he's been raised by Yondu.
Right.
He's kind of an asshole.
He's a player.
He is a player.
A player.
And he's flirting with Gamora. And you start to build this relationship with them where he's trying to woo and impress her. She's not fucking impressed because she's a badass. She's actually lived some shit. She is the daughter of Thanos.
The fiercest woman in the galaxy.
And Quill doesn't know how fucking brutal Thanos is. And that's
Right.
important to know later. So then we move into the second Guardians movie with Quill. And now he has, so he had to experience the loss of his mother. Then he had to learn that his father is this extraplanetary being that he has godlike powers from as well.
Right.
Okay. Then he learns that his father was doing the same thing that he did to Quill to creatures across all of the universes in existence to try to find another perfect being like himself, so there could be more than one sentient being.
He wouldn't be alone in the universe.
Correct. Ego reveals that he killed Quill's mom. He put the tumor in her head, and that breaks Quill. So now my father killed my mother, and now he has to kill his father, okay? Who does he turn to when all this shit happens? Gamora. That's the person that is on his side and sees the thing for the way it really is, right? And the hurt that he goes through, and she understands the family shit and the piece of shit dad, right? She really understands having a piece of shit dad. So,
which they had a funny exchange with Thor about in Infinity War.
True, and
that was a good scene.
But Quill ultimately has this sense of calm at the end of Guardians, and he's like, I'm not a god anymore. I'm just a dude, and I've got my team, and they're my family. They're what's most important to me, and our family's even evolved. Mantis has now joined the fold. Nebula is on our side for the most part.
Right.
It's all expanding. Even Kraglin, that's the Sean Gunn, James Gunn's brother. He was one of the Ravagers. He kind of becomes part of the family. People wonder where he was at in this movie. They said that will be explained coming forward, that he will have been away for a reason. They're not going to explain that.
Right.
It holds some importance.
Yeah, I forgot about that character.
So Quill, at the end of Guardians 2, we see the scene with Teenage Groot, and Quill is becoming kind of fatherly now to this team too. He's, nurturing them and helping them through. So when you get to Infinity War, they are a tight bunch. They've been doing this for a while.
Right.
They're all on the same page.
Right. They're a team.
And Rocket, we're going to shift back to him for a second. His evolution is kind of reverse of that. He's an asshole who doesn't like anybody. He doesn't want to be a part of the team. And that's the first movie.
Right.
Groot sacrifices himself, making Rocket realize things have to be bigger for the team. So Rocket starts to get that feeling. But then in the second movie, he still feels so slighted by the events of the first movie that he just doesn't want to be on the same page as these guys.
Right.
And he's
he
like,
just goes solo for a bit.
I would rather be a loner. I don't want to be on a team. I don't want to have friends. I do this by myself because I'm smart, and I no thing like me.
He's
set
just
me.
trying to prove himself.
And then of course, Yondu really teaches him the truth of you're being hard because you're not hard, and it's a facade.
Right.
And I know better than everybody
Bonded
because
with him.
I'm the one that's putting up the biggest facade to act tough when I'm not. And now Rocket has an opportunity in Infinity War where he's again bonded with the group. Big picture, and Rocket gets an opportunity to kind of play leader because Thor shows up on their ship and calls him the captain.
Right. Which
And
is hilarious.
Who's going to argue with Thor? It's
Right.
not like Quill's going to be like, no, he is not, which Quill does some stuff like
They
that.
just let
You
it
will
go
not
because it
be
wasn't
stealing
important. They're just like,
our
ugh,
pod.
whatever.
You will not be stealing our pod.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. So in that moment, you have some more character building, and Rocket is like, okay, I'll play captain. I'm going to play the role of captain. I'll step up and try to be more captainly. I'm going to be more teamly, like I haven't been in the previous movie. So he's evolving, overarching as this character who's found his sense of purpose. Mm-hmm. By the time Rocket gets his real sense of purpose and everything comes together, he's actually the captain of nothing.
Right.
And it's like the darkest timeline for him.
Yeah, sucks to be Rocket.
I'll break you. I'll break you just a little bit. It broke me to hear this. So James Gunn revealed what I Am Groot meant at the final scene when Groot is getting...
Ugh.
Do you want to know what
They
he
put
said?
it on so thick.
Do you know what Groot said, though?
Okay, now what?
One word. Dad.
Oh,
To Rocket.
that's super sad.
And it's
Fuck
like...
you, James Gunn.
Oh, right? It's like, oh, it kills you now. It's like...
It's
oh.
awful.
And then I also
Ew.
learned Tom Holland, the day they shot the death scene for Parker, is the day he found out.
Oh,
They
really?
literally took him into the room and they said,
he has not been spared by Thanos.
so we'll talk about that in a second. So literally they took him into the scene and they said, okay, Tom, here's the scene. I need you to react. What would Peter do when he was dying right now? And that's what they did.
Rude.
And they let him, that was him all freestyle. Mm-hmm. That was improv. That
Well,
I
no
don't
wonder
want
it
to
took
go.
so long for him to die.
But he doesn't die
He's like,
because
"This is
he
my
says,
Oscar moment."
I don't want to go. He did not say, I don't want to die. Parker has Spidey sense. He would know death. Parker
Oh my
said,
gosh,
I
you're like
don't want
really
to go.
dissecting this.
It's Journey into Comics, man. It's what we fucking do here.
This is all like just your theory. Like,
You have to give people your theories. That's what they pay us for. That's what they want, is they want to know what our thoughts are. That's what I was trying to tell you.
well, I think that
Yeah.
Marvel was being very emotionally manipulative with certain scenes.
No, I want to know what your theories are, though, moving forward, too.
I don't know. I really don't know what my theories are. I mean, we had the discussion about House of M. I mean, moving forward, I don't really know where they're going to go with it.
It could really go anywhere.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Ant-Man and the Wasp and, of course, Captain Marvel. I'm really excited about that.
You're itching for Captain Marvel because you're a 90s girl, and that's like your
Yeah.
movie. It's going to be like
And
Friends.
I like Brie Larson.
Yeah, she's
I
great.
want to really like this movie. I hope it's not going to... I hope I don't hate it.
They showed a picture, by the way, of Samuel L. Jackson on set, Nick Fury, younger,
With his,
both
both of his
eyes.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck they did. He looks younger in whatever they did to him for this movie. He looks younger than he did Pulp Fiction. And that was shot in the 90s. I don't know how they did.
CGI'd it then.
No, these are set pictures with just him in makeup.
Oh, okay,
And
gotcha.
it looks, I don't know how they made him look so youthful. It's crazy. Like, I'm like, you're an old ass man.
I'll have to see these pictures.
I'll pull it up right now.
I'm excited about Captain Marvel. That'll be good.
Yeah.
That was like the end credit tease for Infinity War, yeah.
And, you know, it's interesting because there was talk that she was going to be in this movie. One thing to note,
Yeah,
though,
we did talk about that.
we had talked about this before leading into Infinity War, and we never really discussed it after we saw it, because it was like, oh my god, we just saw the movie. So like there are things we never really digested, that things we said would probably happen that didn't come to light. One thing to note, both these movies were shot back to back. Literally, they shot Infinity War and Part 2 in the same year.
Oh,
Like 6 months for Infinity War, 6 months for this. Did you know Infinity War went way over budget and cost $450,000 a day?
holy shit.
A day.
That's crazy.
And then
Well, good thing they made so much money.
And they made so much money back, like it ain't no thing.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for Captain.
They're probably like over budget. Who cares?
Also, Captain Marvel was the most searched thing on Google the day after Infinity War dropped.
Oh, I bet.
Because people didn't
Everyone's
know.
like, I got to figure out what the fuck this is about.
Who's that?
Who's
yeah.
that?
So,
Yeah, I'm excited about Captain Marvel. We've been talking about that for a while.
yeah. Okay.
Did you find what you're looking for?
I'm trying to find this picture of.
Oh, Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah. Let's see. It was Captain Marvel. Don't be yawning, homie.
Sorry.
Here we go. Young Nick Fury. This is about to blow your mind. You're
Okay,
going to be
let me
like,
see.
what the fuck? So
I can't
April
wait.
28th. So this was 2 days after Infinity War dropped. This picture dropped. Obviously, this is someone who has done a damn good job of being close enough on set where they can get these pictures, but also done a good enough job where their phone was not taken and they were not told to knock this shit off.
Yeah, let
Look
me
at
see.
this picture.
All right, hold on. Let me look here. Oh, yeah, very 90s. Wow, this is bringing back memories.
He looks young, though.
Memories. Yeah. Uh-huh.
I mean, like, crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's, here you go. Bam.
Oh, Captain Marvel.
In the classic
In the-
Kreese colors, which is,
I like those colors.
yeah, it'll be better
Yeah,
when her
Brie
full-on
Larson.
suit's there. But, you know, I think they've done a good job of teasing everything. And that's one thing Marvel has done a great job at, is going into Infinity War, they knew you'd seen most of their movies enough to go to that movie and know what the fuck is going on.
Sure.
Or gamble that even if you didn't know enough, by the time the movie was over, you would. Mm-hmm. And I think it did a great job in that regard. Like, Dad went with me on my second viewing. He hadn't seen Black Panther. And I was like, oh, that's going to really affect. He hadn't seen Captain America Civil War or Doctor Strange either. He was like way off. And I'm like,
really behind.
I was like, how the I thought I showed you Civil War. I was so stoked on Spider-Man. How the hell have you not seen that, bro? And he's like, I don't know. I just haven't got around to it. I was like, okay, anyways. Let's go back to it. You wanted to talk about another character and their evolution throughout the stories. You had said Gamora.
Yeah, she's had an interesting character evolution.
Well, give it to us. Give us some rundown.
Well, I don't know. I was watching when we watched Infinity Wars. It made me think about her in like a slightly different light. You know, the scenes where she's taken away from her mother and her half of her planet is slaughtered and she's kidnapped by Thanos, and then I don't know. She's becoming one of my favorite characters. Or, well, R.I.P.
But actually, interesting. I'm glad you said that, R.I.P., because it's not true. Not R.I.P. The Russo brothers confirmed they were like some high school in Iowa doing some kind of...
That she's trapped in the Soul Stone.
Some kid said, they were like, is Gamora trapped in the Soul Stone? And he's like, yeah, that is actually, yes, that is the case. Like, and when Thanos goes back to talk to her in the Soul Stone, that's confirmed where they are at, because Thanos was going where his heart and soul was. Interesting to note, in the comics, it's death. Thanos is in love with death. You can't really give that to him in the movies, because then he's just a killing machine that has no anything.
Right.
Making him love Gamora and making that the weight of which he had to decide. There was no Soul Stone before this because no one was willing to sacrifice the one they loved the most for it.
Right.
That's why no one had paid the price. So Thanos does pay the price and creates the Soul Stone, which now has its own unique set of rules. Why does Gamora look like a little girl in the Soul Stone? Do you know?
Tell me.
Because it's Thanos' vision of her.
Well, yeah, clearly.
In the Soul Stone, and he wants to see her when she loved him and looked up to him. And that was him.
Well, I don't think she ever loved him or looked up to him.
Well, in some ways, I think she did love him, because if she
looked
didn't
to him to just take care of her, I guess.
But I think when they're at the Collector and reality, comes to light that she didn't actually kill him, and she's crying, and he's like, is that sadness I sense in you, daughter? I knew you still cared. It's because she did love him. He did raise her. He did try to do things right for her. Even though he was a piece of shit to her, he still was there. And it's that whole... it's kind of the same with Bucky and Cap, where it's the
connection.
They're still family, or they're still tied together as friends, but one's good and one's evil.
Right.
I really love that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was sad. And when we saw that in the theater, I was just like, ugh, rude.
I knew
but
it was
that was
coming.
Just like the beginning of, it wasn't the beginning of how brutal that movie was, but for me, that was the scene in the movie where I was like, oh, this movie's not fucking around.
It's really, I knew that in the first 5 minutes when they snapped Loki's neck. I was like, whoa!
Yeah.
By the way,
I kind of saw that one coming, though, because there was talk about, Tom Hiddleston not wanting to do any more Marvel movies or whatever.
Really?
Like a long time ago.
Oh, yeah, but that's, listen, I know that Tom Hiddleston was like, he did say, interesting that you bring that up as well. Tom Hiddleston, I just read, said that was one thing he was really grateful for Marvel for. When they made that decision, they set him down and was like, look, this is what we're doing. Here's why. And gave him the full scope and scale of how important that one death, 2 Train of Our Existence in one episode. That's a record, by the way. But that one death has such weight for the Thor character and his evolution in all of this.
Right.
And his evolution's massive.
Yeah.
Cocky kid who thinks he's going to get the throne, knows nothing.
God, I haven't seen the first Thor movie
or Dark World.
Or Dark World. I don't need to see that. But I haven't seen those movies in a really long time. I totally forgot about where his character was from. I just loved him so much more in Ragnarok. It made me forget about the awful that was before.
But you got to think too, in some of that awful Age of Ultron, that was really where the Thor.
Well, Age of Ultron was fine. Maybe it's just after Natalie Portman stopped being in Thor movies.
Yeah,
no, I don't know.
She's not very good. There is a universe where Jane Foster is in fact Thor, so maybe Natalie
that's
Portman
weird.
someday will be Thor.
I think she's probably over it at this point.
Yeah, she's not really into this kind of stuff. Also, Hugo Weaving not into this stuff, and he could have had a massive payday.
Oh man, yeah, Red Skull, that was crazy.
Totally,
I was not expecting
totally
that.
unexpected. There was
Yeah.
only one other unexpected person showing up in that movie that would have blown my mind, and that
Would have?
Mhm.
Okay, who?
Well, not a new character, a return, a surprise return. And that would have been if Ultron would have returned. Like, if Thanos would have been like, here, I'm just going to give you guys some Ultron to deal with right in the middle of all this shit. And they were just like, we can't even deal with this
There's too
right
much
now.
storyline for that.
Correct.
There's too much going on.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
But Thor's character, first movie, cocky prince, wants the crown, ends up going to Earth, losing his powers, banished by his father to, again, very Lion King-esque, have to prove himself to come up to earn the throne. Mm-hmm. He still doesn't get the throne. Second movie, there's the whole Dark Elves shit and whatnot that's going on. Oh, actually, before the Dark Elves movie is the first Avengers, where you have, again, some little playful banter and the early evolution of the comedy side of Thor, which is the sarcastic side of Tony Stark that he's constantly around when they're doing all of this stuff. So, again, Age of Ultron, Thor's a little bit funnier, picking it up a little bit more. After Age of Ultron, he goes off to find Infinity Stones. He has the vision in the water, you remember? And he sees the fucking stones, and he's like, I gotta go fucking do that. But he, of course, as we find out, Ragnarok didn't find any. He sucks at looking for stones. But then by that point, he's been broken down. He's seen his brother die and his brother live, and his brother die and his brother live, and then and all these things happen to him, and his father's gone, and his father's not gone, and then his father's dead, and then his
sisters, and that was a great movie.
So he literally is just getting steamrolled with all this family shit that he isn't even fucking close to prepared for. It's so left field for him,
right?
That he feels this sense of solidarity in the fact that he's okay with how much he's lost, because what more does he have to lose?
Right. He's okay with sacrificing himself.
So he tells Thanos, when Thanos kills Heimdall, you're going to die for that. Mm-hmm. And man, he came close.
Yeah, I liked his little speech where he was talking about how he's like 1,500 years old, and this is just another bad guy in a long line of bad guys that he's dealt with, and he's very confident that fate wants him alive to deal with it.
Rabbit, I'm 1,500 years old. I've killed
twice
as many men.
I like the Rocket didn't correct him.
Yeah, well, because what are you going to do? The Pirate Angel? You're going to tell him that he's fucking wrong? No.
Yeah. Thor's had a good evolution, and he's, sad storyline, but I'm glad they still kept the breeziness of his character.
And he's not the last Asgardian. Very important to note. Second watch through. You recently watched the
That's
second
right.
time.
I realized, I was like, where the fuck is that Valkyrie?
Or where's Korg and Mike,
Well, more importantly, where's the Valkyrie?
Where's the Valkyrie? Yeah, back to Tessa Thompson.
Because then I was like, oh yeah, that's right. They didn't kill all of Asgard. They just took half of them.
Because in that speech he says that, he lost half of his people.
Half of his people.
And,
so the other half is still out there somewhere.
And I'm guessing that
and then half of them is probably gone now.
My guess would be that Thanos gave them enough time to flee. And Thor said, Valkyrie, you take Korg and take these people and go.
Right, because we didn't get to see Thanos board. We didn't get to see any of that, so we don't know what has happened. They did that on purpose.
Because they'll probably fill it in 4.
Right.
It'll probably be the middle ground that we don't see. So that's super interesting to note. Also, we don't see the Xandar attack where he gets the Power Stone.
Right.
Because that's how we're going to get the Nova story. We'll see Thanos attack Xandar and take the Power Stone, and that's how we will get what's his name? Roman Day. He was played by John C. Reilly in the first Guardians.
Yeah.
Roman Day will go to Earth and give his Nova powers to Richard Rider, who will become Nova, which is another amazing character in Marvel's history. So that will be their opportunity to, again, status quo. You don't need to show that here. You don't need to show Thanos fucking up Xandar here.
Right.
You use
that could be
for
saved.
that movie, and then it's a flashback to, oh my God, that's how it happened.
Okay.
Oh, that's the question.
Well, now that there's a time stone involved, everything's all timey-wimey.
But the time, okay, that's one thing we should also talk about too. think about Doctor Strange and how the Time Stone is used. It's literally like a VCR. It has
Right, you can rewind it.
You can only rewind so far. You can only fast forward so far.
Okay.
You can't take the tape off the rails. You can't rewind the tape before you got to the tape. So some things that are done are done. That's why the Time Stone, being the second to last stone Thanos gets, is so important, because he only utilizes that to guarantee himself the Mind Stone.
Right.
He doesn't utilize it to like, oh, I need to not kill the children of Thanos, the Black Order. Like, he doesn't undo any of that shit.
Right.
It's just that immediate 5-minute window where Vision was killed. And the same thing is to be said with Doctor Strange when he uses the Time Stone in Doctor Strange's movie. He's looping time in that 5-minute window. Dormammu, I've come to bargain. Dormammu, I've come to bargain. Over and over and over and over.
Right.
So while the Time Stone exists, it can't be used to just undo everything. That's too playing loose with fire. You have to have some rules in all of this.
Sure.
So
I just wish I knew what they were.
well, and I think we'll continue to learn them as we move forward. Of course, the next big thing we have on our docket, V, is Ant-Man and the Wasp. That's going to actually be coming out like around the weekend of JIC 200.
Oh, cool.
So that's going to be a kind of cool
That'll be
thing.
fun.
We're like 10 episodes away from that. How crazy is that?
Yeah, time's flying, man.
I was only 104 episodes off. Episode 294 was supposed to be Brando's departure. It's 190 and he's not here. It's very throws me off. But anyways, Infinity War, after my like third, fourth, fifth now watching, it definitely stands up to the movie that I initially gave my review on. I would actually even say that it's a little bit better than my review, because upon watching it more, I've noticed all the little nuances I missed the first time and all the
Right.
little shit that you wouldn't have even picked up.
It makes a difference.
It really does.
What theater you're in and whatever, because some theaters, the audience may be louder than others, and you miss certain lines in the movies, like we did the first time we saw it in theaters, and then you went and saw it again, and you're like, oh yeah, that's what they said.
Well,
So everybody was clapping, and
yeah, Stan Lee's
and then
cameo.
sometimes there's dead theaters, like when we went to see Isle of Dogs, and we were literally the only people in
there.
the theater.
That was amazing.
Yeah, it was great.
Recount that on the last week's episode of Foodies Watching Movies. It just came out. We watched the whole thing. I'm so sorry we watched the whole thing. V, before we get out of here, it had been loosely discussed, and I don't know if you want to talk about this any. You're thinking about bringing another podcast to the network? Is there any
Spoilers.
Is there any truth to that? Can we conjecture this and have any?
I am really excited about it. I'm not sure if I want to announce it yet.
Well,
but
you're still working on title, but
yeah, I'm still working on the title.
you don't
but
have to say anything more than you don't want to say, but you can say what you feel.
Well, I am planning on having a new podcast on our network, and I'm really excited about it. It's super fucking dorky. It's going to be a niche thing, but for the people that are going to be into this subject matter, I think it'll be entertaining and enlightening and fun.
Hashtag FirePod with me.
Oh, God. Yes, I will be debuting a Twin Peaks themed podcast, and I'm very excited about it. And I have lots of friends and people that are interested in talking about it as well. So it's going to be great. I'm excited about it.
Twin Pods?
You leave the name to me.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm going to find a damn fine name.
Ooh,
Don't you worry.
I like that. That was good. But it's really interesting, V, because we broke the time laws and rules.
Did we?
Yeah, JIC should already have been out, and by the time people are hearing this, they're like, "Man, it was late. Why was it late?" I'm telling you now because we started late. It's late,
and now it's really late.
It's really late.
And
like
I need
it's
to
genuinely
go.
late. Okay, well, I think we did a damn fine job on today's episode. See how I did that there?
I do. Yeah.
It kind of all over the place. We have a little bit of news from all the
we
different
had a lot of
things.
things to talk about.
We didn't even talk about the Ant-Man and the Wasp trailer that dropped that had fucking Goliath in it.
Mm-hmm.
What
yeah,
the
I saw
fuck?
that. Lawrence Fishburne, yeah.
Yes, and I loved the. I was on a project with Hank Pym called Goliath. How big did you get? 21 feet. How big did you get? 65 feet. And then it
Comparing
just
sizes.
but the best thing about that is when he does the 65 feet, it flashes in the trailer to Giant Man, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
and he's laughing like he was laughing when he was in Civil War when he goes huge and he grabs War Machine.
He's
He's like,
very glee.
oh, this is great, you know.
Oh, I love that part. Yeah,
So
that was great.
I'm a huge, Ant-Man, the first one, I feel like it was a dark horse in the MCU because a lot of other shit has happened. But when Ant-Man finally came out, everybody's like, oh, that was fucking dope.
Yeah, we needed Ant-Man because we needed some comedic relief. And I was watching, who is it, Jimmy Kimmel that does the mean tweets?
Yeah.
And they did an Infinity War
Avengers
edition. And Paul Rudd's was hilarious. It was something about Paul Rudd being so vanilla that all he does is, or that he's probably just sitting at home having a bland spaghetti dinner talking about his day.
Mean.
That was so mean. I thought it was funny, but it was super mean.
It is super mean.
No, I love Paul Rudd. I liked Ant-Man. I'm excited about Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah, July 6th.
I'm
cannot
glad
wait.
Evangeline Lilly is going to actually be a badass in this movie.
I told you we have to see that in 3D, right? I
Yeah,
saw
I agree. I don't typically like seeing movies in 3D just because I wear glasses and I sometimes get headaches, but
that's a
this
scope
is one,
and scale thing.
This is one that I'm definitely going to want to see in 3D. I can tell
Like
already.
when Dad and I watched Infinity War in 3D, just seeing Wasp run on the knife in 3D was the coolest fucking effect. Like I haven't
maybe
been.
we should go see it at the IMAX. IMAX
Oh
3D.
my god!
That would
yes.
be really fun.
Yes.
Okay, we'll do it.
Cool,
It's a
and
date.
it's crazy because we're Veronica. What's today? It's today, May 7th. What's the actual date? Can you give me a?
The 7th.
It is the 7th, so this is dropping on the 7th. We are 11 days, actually 10 days, away from Deadpool 2.
Oh no shit! Wow, where's the time gone?
Out of nowhere. It's like
Yeah.
Infinity War hit, and here we are. Deadpool's right around the corner to break all kinds of records and fuck shit up.
Wild.
And then 2 weeks from that, Solo drops.
Yeah, they're just pumping them out, huh?
And then there's nothing really in June.
Which is great
A
because
little reprieve.
we've got a lot going on in June.
June's busy.
Yeah.
Got JIC 200, 4 shows, busy weekends, lots of
Convention.
shit going on.
Band stuff.
Tons.
Yeah.
Too many things. All the things.
Lots of things, all the things.
All right. Well, V, first of all, thanks so much for coming back to the show.
Yeah, anytime.
Love
Thanks.
having you.
I'm glad.
I'm going to go ahead and get into the plugs of the episode. As always, folks,
Take it
you can
away.
check out the Journey into Comics Network at journeyintocomics.com. This is the flagship show, JIC. And as always, you can check us out on Instagram or Facebook or the Twitters. Journey into Comics on your Facebooks and your Instagrams. On Twitter, JIC Network. As always, folks, check us out on all the different podcasting platforms: iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher Radio, Google Play Music, Spotify. We are now on Spotify. I'm so excited for
That's
that.
dope.
It is super cool. Give us a 5-star review on iTunes. We really appreciate it. It does help us. And obviously go to our Patreon at patreon.com/Journey into Comics. You give us $1, you get early access to all the shows on the network on one feed. And you give us $3, you get early access and exclusive content. And folks, let me tell you, while things are shaking up right now on the network, we've lost a couple shows. You're not going to hear butt stuff on the network probably ever again. Lit is gone. But we do have some new stuff coming down the line. Some new shows that are in development that I am fucking jacked for.
Oh, yeah.
Phase 2 of this is going to be, it's very interesting. We see Infinity War, and it's like the end of one chapter. And here at the network, we're beginning a new chapter, and this is our new beginning. So I think that's going to do it for today. Journey into Comics episode 190 in the bag. We did such a good job. That's just me riffing right now because it's late. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying.
It's okay.
Thanks so much for coming back.
Anytime.
Hell yeah. All right, folks. Well, as always, for Journey into Comics, this is episode 190 of JIC. Journey into Comics 190, A New Beginning. I'm your host, Nate.
I'm Veronica.
Keep filling your brains with shit, folks. Later.